A woman urgently carries an unconscious girl through the stream. She struggles heavily with the child's completely limp body. Finally reaching the shore, she sets her on the rocks. She carefully lays the lifeless girl flat on the ground. Desperation sets in as she tries to wake the child. She shakes her gently, but there is no response at all. The young girl's face remains incredibly pale and still. Panic growing, she shakes her harder, begging for a reaction. She leans in close to check for any faint breathing, but the child remains completely unresponsive on the cold stones. She tries lifting her upper body, hoping to rouse her. The girl's head just lolls back, entirely devoid of life. The terrified woman checks her neck for a steady pulse. Realizing she needs help, she decides to move the child. She touches her face one last time before lifting her. Gathering her strength, she hoists the heavy girl up again. She supports the limp body, looking around completely helplessly. With no one in sight, she carries her into the woods. The girl's arms dangle lifelessly as they move away. They disappear entirely into the dense, dark green jungle. Suddenly, a search party with dogs rushes along the riverbank. They frantically scour the muddy edge for any single clue. Following the dogs, they move urgently along the rocky shore. The dogs sniff the ground, picking up a faint trail. One woman spots something and quickly points across the water. The whole group immediately wades into the knee-deep river. A man reaches the opposite bank, searching the thick bushes. Another woman follows him up the steep, highly slippery slope. He guides his dog into the murky water, looking closely. He wades deeper, checking the heavily tangled roots along the edge. Another woman hurries down the muddy bank to join them. She wades into the water, carrying a white piece of cloth. Meanwhile, the first man searches deeply inside the dense bushes. He carefully inspects the heavy undergrowth for any small sign. Deep inside a thicket, the woman discovers something very important. She quickly retrieves the white cloth from the muddy water. A dog swims vigorously through the strong, fast river current. The woman climbs out, holding the discovered white cloth tightly. The fast-flowing river continues to hide its dark, deep secrets. The search party regroups on the rocky shore, dogs in tow. They all plunge back into the deep water entirely together. They swim across the river, the dogs paddling right alongside. Reaching the far side, they quickly scramble up the rocks. The man dives back into the water, searching extremely thoroughly. Flashing back, the woman still struggles with the unconscious girl. She lays her back down on the rock, looking exhausted. She frantically checks the child's lifeless body one more time, but the little girl remains pale and completely unresponsive. Her face shows no signs of waking up at all. Back at the river, the man searches under some hanging branches. He dives deep underwater, looking through the highly tangled roots. The rest of the team scours the heavily overgrown riverbank. A woman climbs over thick branches, searching the muddy edge. They carefully lead the tracking dogs along the rocky riverbed. One woman cautiously steps into the shallow, rushing river water. The whole team swims across a wider section of the river. They bravely push through the current, desperate to find her. The man searches another dense patch of flooded, thick bushes. The dogs paddle tirelessly across the wide, highly murky river. The group investigates a muddy path leading deep into the jungle. The man crawls under low branches, searching the dark water. They push through thick vines, moving deeper into the forest. The dogs wait very patiently on a high, rocky ledge. A dog sniffs the ground along the sandy, wet riverbank. The man lies flat on a rock, peering into the water. He dips his head under the surface, searching incredibly intently. The river flows rapidly, making the search very difficult indeed. The woman with the cloth walks along the shallow edge. She hurries past a large patch of broken, scattered bamboo. The others follow closely, completely refusing to give up hope. Meanwhile, the woman tries again to wake the unconscious girl. She shakes her gently, but the child remains entirely motionless. Feeling hopeless, she tries to pull the girl up again. She stands there, looking around for anyone to provide help. She grabs the child, preparing to carry her even further. She walks away along the rocky shore, looking very distressed. She pauses to look out over the vast, dense jungle. The deep green forest seems to stretch on entirely endlessly. Back to the search, the man wades near some tall grass. He dives under the thick foliage, searching the dark water. He inspects the area beneath the overhang, heavy green bushes. The women wade through another shallow part of the stream. They carefully navigate the muddy water along with the dogs. The woman with the cloth continues to lead the way forward. We see the pale, entirely lifeless feet of the young girl. She still lies motionless on the hard, very wet rock. Her body is sprawled awkwardly across the cold, unforgiving stones. She looks so incredibly small and fragile against the rocks. She still shows absolutely no sign of waking up at all. The search party rushes across the river once more urgently. The man points towards a spot near the opposite bank. Two women swim over to investigate the newly designated area. The rest of the team gathers near the muddy edge. They fan out, searching the rocks and very thick vegetation. They carefully walk along the slippery, highly uneven riverbank. The man searches yet another deep pool of murky water. The calm surface of the river hides many secrets below. The team climbs a steep, highly overgrown path into the jungle. The man searches near a patch of floating green plants. He dives completely under the water among the tangled roots. The women swim through a calmer section of the river. They reach the shore, bringing the dogs out of the water. They start clearing a pile of debris using long bamboo sticks. They poke and prod the heavily tangled mess of branches. They work together to move the heavy, waterlogged bamboo sticks. They clear the debris, hoping to find something hidden underneath. A woman reaches into the muddy water, feeling around carefully. They dig through the mud and broken branches by bare hand. They pull out more sticks, clearing the muddy area entirely. The man searches a different section of the deep river. He swims through the murky water near the muddy bank. The women continue clearing the large pile of bamboo debris. They throw the broken sticks aside, working very frantically indeed. They swim towards another spot to clear more tangled branches. The man climbs out of the water, looking completely exhausted. He wades onto the muddy bank, his clothes soaking wet. A woman searches the water near some very thick bushes. She dives under, joining the others in the murky river. The man surfaces, having found nothing in that dark spot. He looks around, the search for the girl continuing endlessly. The searchers continue scouring the murky, rushing river. Two women and their dogs brave the deep currents. They struggle downstream in hopes of finding the girl. Wading through the shallows proves just as difficult. The boy carefully navigates the slippery, dangerous rocks. Even the wildlife senses the tension in the air. Pausing on a sandbank, the group quickly regroups. They urgently point out new areas to check next. Determined, they prepare to face the rapid water again. The rocky stream crossing requires careful, steady footing. Slowly, the searchers move toward the dense bank. They pull their loyal dogs through the thick reeds. The dogs eagerly sniff along the overgrown edges. The woman hurries deeper into the tangled vegetation. She checks the dark, shadowy spots beneath the bamboo. Meanwhile, the others search near the rushing water. Pushing aside the heavy bushes reveals nothing but mud. The boy helps clear away the stubborn branches. Exhausted, she wades further down the unyielding river. The relentless current keeps testing their physical limits. They scour the thick foliage lining the river's edge. Every patch of green is thoroughly checked for clues. He ducks into the bushes, hoping for a sign. She continues searching downstream despite her growing fatigue. Wading into the tall grass yields no new discoveries. She desperately feels around the murky underwater roots. The boy also searches the dense shoreline foliage. A dark, rocky overhang offers another hidden spot. He swims across the deep section to check further. The woman pushes her way through the thick reeds. Probing the bank blindly, she finds nothing unusual. She carefully navigates the treacherous, overgrown shore. The flowing river seems to mock their desperate efforts. The group carefully makes their way back together. They gather on the rocky shore to discuss options. Everyone looks completely drained and unsure of what to do. Deciding to cross, they carefully lead the dogs over. The deep rapids make the crossing slow and dangerous. They struggle to keep the dogs from being swept away. Slowly, they guide the animals through the strong current. The exhausted dogs finally reach the shallow rocky bank. Just downstream, the missing girl lies completely motionless. Her lifeless body rests against the cold, wet rocks. She floats silently while the others remain completely unaware. Meanwhile, the searchers are busy gathering large leaves. They carry the leaves as they walk back slowly. The group seems to be preparing for a short break. They sit down on the rocks, looking deeply fatigued. The food wrapped in leaves offers some quick energy. They eat in silence, weighed down by the situation. The boy shares a piece of food with his dog. They try to quickly regain their strength to continue. It is a brief, quiet moment amidst the nightmare. They finish their quick meal on the rocky shore. The steady river continues to flow nearby, uncaring. Suddenly, the dogs wander off and discover the girl. The animals sniff her unmoving body by the water. They stand over her, confused by the tragic scene. Noticing the dogs, the searchers quickly head over. They rush toward the spot in absolute panic. They swiftly pull her lifeless body from the water. They lay her gently on the harsh, rocky bank. Frantically, they check her for any signs of breathing. Desperation sets in as she remains completely unresponsive. They try everything to wake her from the nightmare. The group surrounds her, devastated by the grim discovery. One woman breaks down, unable to contain her grief. She cries out, overwhelmed by the horrific reality. She cradles the girl's head, sobbing uncontrollably now. The heartbreaking scene leaves everyone in utter shock. Realizing they must act, they quickly lift her again. They try to physically force the water from her lungs. The woman continues to cry, refusing to accept defeat. They turn the girl upside down in a desperate attempt. They carefully lower her back down to the ground. Realizing they need help, the boy runs to fetch something. He quickly washes a piece of cloth in the stream. They fashion a makeshift stretcher to carry her out. The group prepares to move her as quickly as possible. They gently place her body onto the green cloth. After one final check, they prepare to lift her. There is no time to lose in this critical moment. Her pale face remains still as they lift the stretcher. They carry her away, rushing desperately for help. They carry the stretcher to the shallow riverbed. They wade through the water, leaving the sight behind. The dogs follow them as they disappear downstream. The grieving woman stays behind, completely overwhelmed. Finally, she stands up and slowly follows the others.